Hi, I'm back on live. Uh, I was thinking about whether or not I was going to get on here, but I'm here. So let me just jump right into what I was going to say. Um, it is a national holiday, Martin Luther King Day. And I have been seeing, of course, a lot of posts around, civil rights and what Dr. King said and what he did. Um, and that's fine, you know. But I wanted to say something in particular because I think that women carry a lot of weight in how the world views themselves. I believe certainly that women are revolutionary and that women have the power to teach because women are the first teachers of us all. They carry the children. They are the first contact that children have with a woman. And so that's a huge responsibility. And so I think with that, we have to be very intentional about what we speak into our children, what we speak into our men, and what we speak into our society. And one of those things is helping to empower and enlighten our children, our men, ourselves. And we do that by really speaking life into our men, our children, and ourselves. And what I mean by that is just that instead of this sort of narrative around um, that people have power over us, because that's all I've seen today. Every time someone honors Dr. King, they are honoring him with him fighting for rights or fighting for freedom. And the only way that you can ask somebody for rights is if you believe that person has power over you to grant you rights. The only way that you can ask someone for freedom is if you believe that this person inherently has power over you to grant freedom or take freedom away from you. And I was inspired really to get on here to say this because I watched a documentary that's on, I think it's on HBO, and it was about Gordon Parks, which Gordon Parks was a artist and he was a renowned artist, like a black man artist. Um, and this is why I say that our beliefs can be very limited. Maybe the world has told black people that we don't have power, we don't have strength, and we nothing, right? But the belief in self is more powerful than what anybody can say about you. And that's my whole point, right? Gordon Parks was this black man. He received a fellowship from the government in the 1930s that paid him $200 a month, which is equivalent to like over $3,000 a month. And he received a photography fellowship from the government. He went on to work for Life magazine. They actually hired him as a staff photographer. He was the first black man to be a staff photographer at Life magazine. And this was in the 40s. And before they hired him on as a staff photographer, he had been doing freelance photography for them. And again, this was in the 40s. After Emmett Till was murdered, he was commissioned to go to the South to cover Jim Crow. So I'm saying this because we look at ourselves as Black people, and that has this connotation of poverty and disempowerment and uh, lack of freedom and all of these negative words associated with it. Whereas just seeing yourself as a person, as a human being who has the divine right to be here on this earth, who has the divine right to have freedom because you already have freedom. Nobody can give you freedom. You were born here on this earth, and that already gives you freedom. That already gives you power. That already gives you everything within yourself. It's the lack of self-belief that we have as Black people. We have a negative self-identity, and we have to work to develop a positive self-identity. That means seeing yourself as a powerful person, as a magnetizing person, as a person with divinity. That's what that means. But because we've sort of been, I don't even want to say that somebody created this narrative. I think a part of it is that we created this narrative for ourselves and we are so stuck in it. And I was for a minute stuck in that too. And I had to remember back, I had to remember who I was. And I've always had a sense of confidence and courage. And I've always walked into places and spaces like I belong there because I do. Like, this is my world. And this is your world. And this is all of our world. So if this is our world, why would I need to ask anybody for permission to exist in it? I don't have to ask anybody for the right to do anything because it is my right to exist. It's my divine right to exist. I'm here on this earth. I was born on this earth. It's my divine right to have anything that I want. The source is within us. The source is what overflows with us. Now, we try to kind of calculate this, especially when it comes to money. We say that a job is our source, but a job is not your source. You are your source. A job is just a means to an end. Stocks, investing in stocks, that's just a means to an end, right? But you are the source. You take you wherever you go. So you have to develop a positive self-identity. You have to think highly of yourself. You have to know that you are here by divine right and that you are abundant within yourself and that you are perfect. We always say, been conditioned to say, well, I'm not perfect. But yes, you are. You are perfect. Everything is about you is perfect. Now, is there room to evolve? Yes, I would hope that you want to evolve. You should get better at things. You should get better at speaking life into yourself. You should be better at being kind and saying kind things about yourself and about others. But I particularly wanted to say that you want to be in a video? Come on. Talking about the divineness within us and the source to be the source of ourselves. What's up, bro?
What's going on, family? How you doing?
I'm good. How you doing?
All is well. I'm here at work. I was just listening to you.
Oh, okay. I saw you had requested.
No, I did.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm still, I lost my mom a year and a half ago, right?
Yeah.
And it's like I've been questioning a lot of things, but I have not been questioning my purpose. I have not been questioning my purpose. I've just been questioning now. Like, why is all this bad stuff happening to me since my mom died? You know what I'm saying? So just this negative after negative. But then I listen to what you say a lot, and I think the greatest thing that you said is, like you said, you are perfect. And I think speaking life over yourself is very, 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 very important. And I don't think for the past, year or so, I haven't really been speaking. I mean, I feel positive, but just everything around me isn't so positive. You know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to mentally escape that. Just that type of way of thinking can be very challenging for me. I'm just having a transparent moment with you and just being vulnerable right now, But I really need to learn how to really speak life over all my situations, even in the midst of negativity, even when I feel like things ain't never gonna get better. I just need to just continue to start pouring back into me. Maybe I can start, switching my lifestyle around, because I don't live in I'm out here in Vegas. Because my mom, I to get a body that can take my environment. And yeah, I'm well better off than I was when I was in Cleveland mentally, just mentally. I feel like I can truly have time to me and myself wholesomely. But every stage, I've been seeing you, really speaking a lot of positive energy. I've really been following a lot of what you've been saying. And it's been helping me. It's really been helping me. It's just, like I said, I don't, it's just, after losing somebody like my mom was she was my biggest supporter. Like, nobody believed in me or had faith in me as much as my mom did. So it was just like, damn. When she left, I'm like, am I ever going to, get that kind of energy from anybody, in his existence? And sometimes I'm like, man, I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to come across a human being like my mom, Not saying they're not like her, because that would be ignorant. Or people probably out here that's just like my mom. But just to have that kind of support with you, would be dope. It goes a lot while I'm living. And I just have that only as one human. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah, what you got to say?
Well, I was just going to say that for one, that energy in which you seek is within you. You know what I mean? It's you're not gonna find nobody else like your mom, because your mom is what is your mom and what's your mom. You know what I'm saying? And so sometimes what happens is that when we lose people that's so close to us in that way, then you don't have a choice but to rely on you and rely on your inner source and your energy. And that's when you discover that it was within you all along. You know what I'm saying? The other part too is we don't have a proper understanding of death either, right? So even though your mother is not here in the physical, she is still in the non-physical, and you can still call on her energy and that source to feed you here and there sometimes. You know what I mean? She might show up in a dream. You might just feel something. Something you might out of nowhere smell her, like her smell. You know what I mean? So it's not that when a person they leave the physical, they move into the non-physical, and they are still around the energy, but we don't. Yeah. Okay. Well, it's that energy can never be created or destroyed, right? And so our souls is just that. It's energy. It's divine. And so when we are not here in the physical anymore, then we transition to the non-physical, but you can still, reach out to that non-physical being because they did exist here, before. So it's this book. So I read like a lot of old books. This is one book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And oh, you got it?
Everything is in divine order. So read this. I've been reading.
Oh wow. Wow.
This is the thing, but this is the black choice. This is a black choice. So this is the black narration.
Okay.
Of the Think and Grow Rich book that a close friend gave me.
Okay.
And I need to finish it because I'm almost done. I gotta finish it all the way. I gotta complete my journey.
Yeah, definitely.
That is so funny.
See, that's how the energy line up. Now, it's one part in Napoleon Hill's book. I haven't read that one, The Black Choice, but it's one part in Napoleon Hill book where he talk about his mastermind group. And so his mastermind group is like this group of people that he calls on to help him, like in terms of thinking out things or developing things about himself. And basically everybody that he put in his mastermind group are all people who have passed away in the physical. But he's intentional about like kind of creating this story or this sort of imaginative thing to where they are around him and he can kind of like feel their energy and their source. And so one of the things that we do or have done is that we lose our imagination because we are told that, we have to grow up, right? And so because we lose our imagination, but our imagination is tied to our intuition. Our imagination is you being able to create the life that you want to have, like be able to visualize it and see it in your mind, because that's the only way that it can become your reality. It's like you have an idea, right? And then you move forward, but you have to be in touch with your intuition so that you even know which steps to take, or you would just be out here floating, So we've been conditioned to think that we got to like work so hard and we got to try so hard and we got to do this, but it's quite the opposite. You don't have to do anything. What you can do is, before you go to bed, say some affirmations, and it's affirmations everywhere. Like, you can find affirmations everywhere. If you can't make them up yourself yet, because you're just kind of going along in your journey, but it's like you have the power to manifest your reality. It's in your power. And I was on Twitter and I had replied back to this young lady who was saying like, oh well, Black men, they don't have this, and they not doing this, and the system, and the this and the that and the this. And I was just like, well, that's on a very kind of physical level, but on a 3D, I mean, a 5D consciousness, higher consciousness level, it's completely untrue. So the person I was talking about before you got on here was Gordon Parks, and it's a documentary on HBO, and he was a black photographer. And so he basically, like, he did all of these amazing, extraordinary things in a time where it was supposed to be more extremely racist than it is now. You know what I mean? But it's so many. So the point is, at the beginning of the documentary, he says he was told that this was a white man's world. And then he said, but I don't believe that. He said, I believe that this is my world. And so that's how he navigated through this world, was that like it was his world. Now when we see this in white people, we call it white privilege. But it's not white privilege. It's that white people haven't been conditioned to have to ask for permission to exist. Black people are asking for permission to exist. So when you saying, oh, I'm marching for civil rights, you're saying that somebody else have power to give you rights. You already have rights. You was born, you was divinely put here. So that's the rights that you have. Period. Yeah. Yeah. That's it. That's it. Wow. So I think that it's really important. Like, I created a platform called Women Are Revolutionary. And actually it was Corey's idea, the Women Are Revolutionary platform. And it basically is just kind of saying like, women are the first teachers. So if women are not teaching the children how to believe in themselves, which children already believe in themselves, but adults is who kind of chip that away from them because they have a big imagination. But and so it is up to us to some degree to kind of implant this in our men as well, because we are the first teacher. We teach boys and we teach girls. And so we have to instill that in our men, that they are very powerful and capable of doing everything, and they don't need permission. Like, show up in this world.
That's so funny that you said that. I forgot the lady name, her last name. I don't know how to pronounce her first name.
Shahrazad Ali.
Man, she said something that really woke me up. She was like, what men don't understand is when a woman put her belief in a man, that man gonna feel like he can get anything done.
Right.
But she put her support and belief behind him that he can do anything. The way that we output our energy from just that kind of support will put us on a whole nother level. You know what I'm saying? I was like, dang. I'm like, wow, that makes so much sense. Just think about it. If you getting up, you down yourself, and you got your significant other literally behind you, trying to like get out that way of thinking, you are powerful. You are capable of many things, but you're the only person stopping you. I can guarantee you that man gonna stop stopping himself naturally.
Right.
By nature. It's not even about laws, by nature. He's going to change. He's going to make that change.
Right.
He's going to make the necessary adjustments to get a different outcome. And then all his significant others, like what I tell you. Like I told you, you can do it, already seen it. So that's that, and then that's at the point where we're no longer working off potential. We're just really working off action at that point.
Yeah.
And that's why just having the right type of women, not a significant other, but a sister, a cousin, an auntie, grandma, like that is so important that you really got people supporting you, especially our women. You know what I'm saying? Like that's why I tell my little cousins, man, stop playing with each other, demeaning one another, because that ain't funny. That's not nothing to joke about. Y'all need to be praising one another. Y'all need to be putting all your energy so we can output it on both sides. Y'all think it's funny? Subconsciously grows with you and it becomes a habit, especially when you get older.
Right.
We be thinking those days we was young, thinking it was fun that saw people, this, that, another. Can't be doing that. Can't be doing that no more. When you get older, man, somebody can take offense to that. Put you up out of here. You know what I'm saying? So now that's why I'm understanding what you were saying about how as we get older, our imagination diminishes more and more and more.
Yeah.
And just imagine, I'm not even thinking to myself, man, if I was more into my imagination, man, I'm probably on a whole other level right now.
Yeah, well, you'll be on another planet right now. You know, I mean, that's how it is. I mean, we have to think even about like the example I keep going to is like a airplane, something that we kind of all take for granted right now, you know. But that started in somebody's imagination. Somebody said man, like what if we could get this thing up in the air and it can like fly, and then we won't have to take boats for days and weeks and months to get to the other side of the world. You know what I'm saying? And so the first time they got up there with the plane, it was only up there for 12 seconds, you know? And so it was people who was around like, oh, well, that plane only stayed up there for 12 seconds. But look, they got this plane off the ground and into the sky for 12 seconds. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. And so so that speaks to, you know, being able to also leave people behind who haven't evolved yet. Because you can't save anybody. You can't. You only can. The only way you can help people is by being a demonstration of it yourself. That's it.
Okay, that's real. That's real. Dang, that is so deep. You can't save nobody, but you can demonstrate wellness. You can demonstrate wellness, but you can't teach nobody, because it's either they're gonna intake that information or they're not. You're gonna carry you with them.
Yeah,
that's fair. Dang, that is so deep, man.
When the teacher is when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. You know, that old mantra.
That is so true. Thank you so much. I really needed that, especially dealing with like my mom. Like a lot of people like, are you depressed? I'm like, no, I'm not depressed. I'm just trying to find my way.
Yeah.
I'm finding my way, you know. And I know a lot of people be thinking, you know, talking about topics like this is tough, but I like to be vulnerable because, like I said, I'm in the stages of growth. I feel like I'm gonna restart my whole entire life over, you know. And I'm not afraid to ask for help, because at the end of the day, that's what these social media platforms are. I tell people, at the day of technology, nobody should really be depressed and nothing like that. I'm like, it just comes down to you, that you're gonna be willing to open your mouth up and start talking about what bothers you and what worries you. There's people out here that got all kind of literature, advice that can help you get to the next level of your problems, you know? It's just, especially as men with our mental health, you know, it's a stigma going on with, you know, people think it's sucker to be vulnerable as a man, to not open up, to hold stuff in. And I'm like, well, bro, that's the same type of injury that kill you, though. You commit suicide. Like, man, you gotta get away from people that you're around that demean that, like, no, man, you gotta be the type to have these type of conversations with people, man, you know?
And depression and depression really is having a negative self-identity about yourself. Like that's really what it is. And what we don't understand is another thing that we don't understand about death and rebirth is that we die a whole bunch of times throughout our lifetime, right? Because death really just means the end of one cycle and the beginning of another. So you die 1,000 times through your physical existence. Like you're not the same person you was a year ago. You're not the same person you was 3 months ago. You know what I'm saying? So you die over and over again. That's what death means. Death doesn't just mean physical is just one definition of it, and so we have to understand that we are going to be different. As you evolve, you are different, and I used to be a grief recovery specialist, and I actually I actually hung my hat up on that because yeah, but this is why though, because it doesn't necessarily help us to actually, despite what we saying now about mental health, it doesn't actually help us to talk about the things that don't make us feel good, because words have power. So the more you talk about things that don't make you feel good, the more of those things you are inviting into your life, because you put so much emotion and energy behind talking about, when you trying to tell somebody a story about how somebody played you, and you got a lot of energy, you like, yeah, and then they was like this and I was like, you know what I mean? Like that's a lot of energy that you putting into that. You know what I mean? And still then you go to the next person and then they play you. And you be like, what's happening? You know what I'm saying? But what's happening is you continuing to call that energy back into your life. You know what I mean? So I tell people, like, when you go to your therapist, talk to your therapist about your joys. Talk to your therapist about your success. Talk to your therapist about the things that make you happy. You know what I'm saying? But we have this addiction to pain. We have an addiction to pain. We have an addiction to not feeling good. We want the pity party. We want people to throw us the biggest pity party. You know what I'm saying? That could be thrown.
That's why I'm like, I don't want nobody to feel bad for me, because then all they looking at me is a sad case, and I'm like, no, that's one thing I couldn't do with my mom. That I couldn't be negative. That was one thing I told myself. Like, listen, I know my mama. She's gonna be mad at me. She gonna be mad at me. She gonna see me around this thing negative with just a negative forward. My mom like, well, you know what? I don't even want to be around your ass. You know what I'm saying? Like, for real. So that's why I'm like, you know what? I celebrate my mother. I honor my mom in my actions. I help people. I speak. I'm always up. I say grand rising on the conference call. People be like, what you saying grand rising? Because hey, it's another day. The old me was dead. The new me is new. We gonna make the day count on a good note, And that's the energy I've been carrying since then, And a lot of people like, man, bro, I'm walking around all happy, giddy, like I'm like, and bro, you got that right, You have that right to feel that way. But me, I just want to do it.
Right.
I know what that energy carries with people, and it's not a good energy. It's not. You can see the energy, and I'm an empath anyway. So when I see people down, I get down. I'm like, that's I feel bad for you.
Right. Yes.
Like, energy is real.
It is. It is.
Just start recognizing that energy. So that's why I be the change I want the world to see with my energy. So
there you go.
Like, you're going with your window, bro. You came out pretty, okay. I said, well, gratitude. Thank you. I'm standing forward.
Right.
I'm standing forward, because it's somebody that's going through way worse than what I experienced. So last thing, like I said, I don't feel like I'm alone, because people with me.
Absolutely.
My real support group, family, friends, they with me. So I don't feel alone. My mom always walking with me. So all is well, all will be well. And I exude and honor my mom through my actions, my behavior, and my attitude.
Yep.
That's how I honor and carry my mother legacy on through me. Me, I'm the conduit of her. You know what I'm saying? And I feel if I can continue this, I'm going to have better outcomes. I'm going to have better outcomes, But like, you really open my mind up, like, just like forget about the negative, because it's going to be there. Do I have to give it attention? No, that's what I'm doing.
Right.
I appreciate you helping me understand the power that I do have, so now I can traverse through this grief and just become a better person day by day. So I really, really, really appreciate you, Chris. This is supposed to go. Definitely get my stamp, man.
I appreciate it, bro. I appreciate you jumping on too.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'll be, supporting and tapping back in just to hear, your words of wellness, because it's helped me.
I appreciate that.
Well through my journey. So,
I really appreciate that.
All the information that you have been given on your platform. Thank you.
I appreciate it, Skunk. All right.
Yeah, for sure. Tell my bro, man, I miss him, man. I know out here the day get kind of lonely. I miss my dog.
I definitely tell him.
Both
Thank you. Thank you.
So I give my high respect, man.
I appreciate it.
Beautiful union you guys have.
Thank
And
you.
you guys are the example. Oh
Yeah.
God heaven.
I appreciate that. We
All
doing
right,
it.
no
All
problem.
right.
But I'll be keeping in touch. Tell bro, I love him. He take care of himself. I'll be talking to him soon.
Okay, I definitely will. All right.
Okay,
You have a
bye
good
now.
night.
Take care.
Oh, that was powerful. I appreciate Skunk jumping on. I mean, what I was talking about really was just how we have to understand that we do hold the power and have the power, and that we can't, continue to perpetuate this narrative that somebody has power over us, that somebody can give us rights, or somebody can give us freedom, or somebody can give us justice. Like, no, like if you don't have belief in self, then you will fall victim to those things. You will fall victim to the things that you think or see are unfair within the world. But you have to understand that our bodies and our spirits and our mind is much higher than anything that's going on in this physical plane. So if you play into that narrative that you have to wait for somebody to give you rights, I mean, you saying that they got power over you. And I'm just saying that don't nobody got power over you. Nobody has authority over you. You are the authority over yourself because you're the source. And we have to focus more on our imagination. What type of world do we imagine having in? What type of being in? What type of world do you imagine your own personal life to be? Because whatever you set your thought to, the energy is indiscriminate. It just feels the thought, the energy that comes from your thought, and it just creates the world around you to match what it is that you are thinking. And so we've been sort of conditioned to think we have to try so hard or work so hard, but no, you as source have an infinite supply of everything that you need. Nothing else around you is your supply but you. And you have the power to show up in all spaces, and you have the power to create the life that you want for yourself. So I just wanted to say this on Martin Luther King Day. Like, if you can help it, like, try not to give your energy into the thought that somebody can give you rights, and that somebody can give you freedom, and somebody can give you justice, because they can't. You are your own authority. You are your own source. And you have to walk in confidence with that. You have to be courageous. You have to show up like you belong in this world, because you do belong in this world. This world is just as much yours as it is anybody else's. And it has nothing to do with color. It don't have nothing to do with gender. It don't have nothing to, it only has to do with your soul and how in tune and in touch you are with your soul. And if you are in tune and in touch and tapped into your soul, and you listen to that, you feel that nudge, and then you act on it, you move on it, you pray for what it is that you want, demand it, make the demands. Say that this is what I want. I am prosperous. I am wealthy. I am healthy. I am well. My mind is clear. I have clarity. I am love. Love is me. You have to say these affirmations. I get up every day and I say affirmations when I wake up and before I go to bed. Before you go to bed, you can say, like, in the morning, if you are confused, you say, in the morning, I'll know what to do. My goodwill is a strong tower around me. I now change all enemies into friends, all injustice into justice, all harmony into harmony. God is my endless supply. All right, it's more. I got a whole book of them, and if you need more, I got a whole bunch of books and authors that also give these sort of affirmations. But you have to know it and you have to believe it. And I just felt compelled to say this because I just seen so much stuff on the internet today, so much disempowering. Like, we think that we honoring Dr. Martin Luther King, but we really are we continue to disempower ourselves. We continue to create this negative self-identity. We continue to look at ourselves as if somebody has power over us, and it's just not true. And as long as we continue to think about it in that way, then that's what we'll see. It's no coincidence that our communities, what we call hoods, is hoods all across America. You know what I mean? That is like there's no coincidence that they look like that, right? Because poverty is a mindset. And we don't want to accept that because then that means that we have to take accountability for ourselves. That means we have to take accountability for our own circumstances. And so it's easier to blame because blame feel good. You like, oh yeah, I ain't gotta, it ain't my responsibility. It ain't, but it is your responsibility. Your life is your responsibility, you know, and you can live the best life that you want to live, but you really have to believe that you can. You have to believe that you're worthy. You have to believe that you are deserving of it. You have to believe that you are the source of all which flows, that you are abundant. You know, you are supposed to have so much abundance that you can be wasteful. But we are conditioned that if we see somebody like like your mother used to tell you, like, don't waste food, it's children over in Africa starving. Well, I mean, if you ain't got the food, you gonna be starving too, you know. So all of these things, again, we've been conditioned to believe these things that actually perpetuate this negative self-identity that we already have about ourselves. We have a our relationship with money is like we think of money as being a bad thing. And if you think that money is a bad thing, then why would money come to you? Money is going to run away from you because you've been taught to associate money with evil. You've been taught to associate money with greed. You've been taught to associate money with, you know, all of these negative things. And so of course money going to stay far away from you with those thoughts. So it really is about changing your thought pattern. You change your thought pattern and you change your life. So you have to make a decision on what it is that you want to see for yourself. And if you see yourself still struggling and saying, man, I'm broke, I ain't got it, I ain't this, you know what I'm saying? Then that's what your reality is going to be. And so you have to talk to yourself positively. You have to talk to yourself like, man, I'm wealthy right now. I'm rich right now. You know, God is my inner supply. I'm thankful for my whirlwind success. Be thankful, be grateful. Say thank you and please throughout your day to everybody that you encounter. Be nice. You know, a part of this is valuing others, but you only value others when you value yourself. If you don't value yourself, if you don't think that you're worthy, if you don't think that you deserve things, then you won't see that in another person. And I had spoke before about inspiration. Now, when you are inspired by somebody or something, that's because at that moment you see the divinity in them because the divinity in you recognizes it. And so the point of it is that we are all divine beings. We are so special. We are so unique. We deserve to be here, but you have to know that you deserve to be here. So don't say bad things about yourself. You know what I'm saying? Say I'm good with money. I used to say that all the time when I was younger. Like, I'm not good with money. No, I'm fucking great with money. Why would I, you know what I mean? We have to be careful. Your body, your mind, your soul is listening to you. You know, so be mindful about it, be intentional about your success, your wealth, your health, and keep telling yourself over and over. I know a lot of people doing vision boards because that's like trendy now. But if that helps, fine, make a vision board. But the real vision is up here. Keep that vision in your mind right here. You know what I'm saying? Keep that alive. Use your imagination. Listen to your intuition. Listen to your heart. And you'll be all right. So I'm out for now. Thank y'all for tuning in.